Njoki Shege is our sign language interpreter. The government of Kenya has backed the push by the Rapid Support Forces to form a parallel government in Nairobi, saying that the tabling of a roadmap and the proposed leadership in Sudan by the RSF is in Kenya's capital compatible with the country's role in peace and negotiations to provide non-partisan platforms to the conflicting warring parties in Sudan and seek answers. A statement by the Prime Cabinet Secretary and Foreign Affairs CS Musalia Mudavadi also states that the RSF is leveraging on good offices and environment in Nairobi. Here is Melita Oletenges with that report.
A diplomatic tiff between Nairobi and Khartoum is raging after the Ministry of Foreign Affairs firmly defended the Rapid Support Forces and Sudanese civilian groups' founding of a political charter to form a breakaway government. In a statement, the Cabinet Secretary in charge of Foreign Affairs, Musalia Mudavadi, says that the Rapid Support Forces, RSF, and Sudanese civilian groups tabling of a roadmap and proposed leadership in Nairobi is compatible with Kenya's role in peace negotiation, which enjoins her to provide non-partisan platforms to conflict parties to seek resolutions. Mudavadi continues to say that this is not the first time groups in Sudan have sought solutions to their crisis by leveraging the good offices of neighboring countries. Mudavadi says that Kenya has established a history of facilitating dialogue between conflicting neighboring and regional states, and that when Kenya offers this space, it is without any ulterior motives. It is because we believe there is no military solution to political disputes. Nairobi has also taken a swipe at Khartoum and the junta led by General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, calling out their rise to power as nothing more than a coup, not a legitimate takeover. Further saying that Kenya aligns with the African Union Charter on the unconstitutional change of government and the 27th October 2021 AU decision suspending Sudan from all activities of the AU, including the just-ended African Union Commission elections. Earlier, Sudan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs had condemned Kenya's decision to allow the Rapid Support Forces and allied factions to hold a meeting in Nairobi, calling it an endorsement of the paramilitary group that has been locked in a brutal conflict with the Sudanese Armed Forces SAF. The statement reading in part, "This move promotes the dismembering of African states, violates their sovereignty, and interferes in their internal affairs. This is therefore a clear breach of the UN Charter, the Constitutive Act of the African Union, and the established principles of the contemporary international order." Sudan's foreign ministry has accused President William Ruto of double-speak on RSF activities in Kenya, sending a partisan message barely a week after Ruto urged warring parties in the conflict to engage in genuine and inclusive dialogue.
Our presence here today reaffirms our unwavering solidarity with the people of Sudan. It is incumbent upon all of us, member states and people of goodwill, alike to support ongoing efforts towards a peaceful resolution while addressing the urgent humanitarian needs of those affected by this conflict.
A hue and cry by Kenyans on social media over Nairobi supporting the RSF has labelled Kenya as a destabilizing factor in regional geopolitics.
But it is important that Kenya doesn't take side in this. Kenya can offer ground for negotiation. If the other faction determines that Kenya or decides that Kenya has taken side with RFS and cannot trust Kenya to negotiate, then Kenya can offer the home for negotiations, which Kenya has done in the past.
Over the last 3 days, over 200 people have been killed by RSF militia in White Nile State. The attacks occurred in villages around the town of Al-Gitain. The RSF traces its roots to the notorious Janjaweed militias dubbed Devils on Horsebacks, who terrorized Darfur in the 2000s. Back then, they were used by the regime of President Omar al-Bashir to crush a rebellion. Now, analysts argue the RSF's move to declare a parallel government from Kenya is a calculated bid for international recognition, plunging Kenya into a diplomatic storm. Melita Oletenges, Citizen TV.
And President William Ruto has castigated Kenyans whom he accuses of mocking him over his promise to the construction of 750-kilometer Isiolo-Mandera Road. The head of state says his administration is committed to the delivery of the project in due course. The Deputy President, Professor Abraham Kithure Kindiki, however, has been more specific, saying the road will be completed in under 2.5 years. Here's our political affairs reporter, Emmanuel Tor, with that report.
It has been the talk of town for about 2 weeks now. President William Ruto's visit to Mandera County in the northeastern region was used to make several promises to locals, among them a 750-kilometer stretch of road from Mandera to Isiolo. It has become the butt of many jokes, given an increasingly engaged youth in national matters.
And many people assume or think it is a joke. Let me tell you, good people,
The president's announcement of that road project and his mastery of the route it will follow has largely informed the debate around it, that and a sense of cynicism.
Ndio barabara itoke Mandera, ikuje Ramo, ikuje Gari, ikuje Elwak, ikuje Kobo, ikuje pale Kotulo, ikuje Tarbaj, ipitie hapa Wajia, iende Samatar, itaremuke Modogashe, ifike Isiolo, iende Nairobi, watu wa Northern Kenya wakae kama Wakenya wengine. Ikuje Gari, ikuje Elwak, ikuje...
Social media experiencing the making of an online storm as the president's promise is twisted into all manner of memes and going viral, especially on TikTok, as some Kenyans, mostly the youth, criticize President William Ruto for making yet another promise which they doubt he will keep. Others printing t-shirts with illustrations of that stretch of the road, complete with the towns as mentioned by the president in his speech in the rally in Mandera. Wednesday, President Ruto, who presided over the signing of contracts for mini-grids under Kenya off-grid solar project in Nairobi, training his guns on his doubters and those who mock him, urging Kenyans to take national matters seriously.
In this country, sometimes we take matters of life and death as if it is a joke. I am committed to delivering on that 750 kilometer of road from Isiolo to Mandera, because for a very long time we have left northern Kenya behind.
The president's reaction coming just a day after his deputy, Professor Kithure Kindiki, also launched another attack at government's online critics.
But because the person making just ako kwa simu hapo, ajui Samata ni wapi, ajui Kotulo ni wapi, ajui sijui ni wapi. So anafanya mzaha.
The two, however, gave conflicting figures on the number of contractors on site.
There are 11 contractors on the ground as we speak, each with a stretch of about 100 plus kilometers.
And I want to confirm here that there are already 7 contractors on the ground to make sure that that road is done.
The delivery of that promise by the president, perhaps the only answer that could silence critics, as both the opposition and the clergy have pointed out that the Kenya Kwanza administration continues to suffer from trust and truth deficit. The Isiolo to Mandera road is about 1.5 times the size of the Nairobi-Mombasa highway. Emmanuel Tor, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Chaos erupted at the Kenyatta International Convention Center in Nairobi as members of the County Assembly in Nairobi engaged in a physical altercation during the County Assembly's forum. The scuffle, a culmination of long-simmering tensions over leadership disputes, financial grievances and demands for better representation, took center stage, with the ward representatives accusing Nairobi County Assembly Majority Leader Peter Imwatok of sabotage. Here's Mary Moki with that report.
Tensions boiled over at the KICC today as a heated confrontation among Nairobi MCAs turned physical. The disagreement stemmed from frustrations over leadership within the Nairobi County Assembly, with several MCAs accusing Majority Leader Peter Imwatok of silencing their voices on critical issues. Some members demanded better representation and accountability, claiming that they were being blocked from addressing key concerns affecting their constituents.
Fellow honorable members, we are very grateful for your coming to Nairobi, and we welcome you to Nairobi.
What started as a verbal exchange quickly escalated into physical confrontations, forcing security personnel to intervene. Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna calling out Imwatok, who is also an ODM member.
Nikiangalia huku naona ni Imwatok, majority whip wangu wa Nairobi. Watu ODM tutakosana mbele ya wageni kweli? Sasa nawaambia tu mtulie, si ndio?
The MCAs have been locked in a tussle with the Salaries and Remuneration Commission over the incessant calls for salary increments. The ward representatives are demanding to have their salaries tripled and the allocation of a ward development fund.
The county assemblies suffer because we've got nothing to offer to our electorates. We've been agitating for kitu inaitwa ward development fund. Na mpaka saa hii, I really don't know why this ward development fund is not achieved.
MCA huyu yuko hapa anaambiwa Yakoba MCA na oversight the governor who is earning $1 million na pia yako na unamlipa shilingi 86 alafu unamwambia ati aka oversight governor.
Beyond financial demands, MCAs are also advocating for the full legal anchoring of ward development funds, arguing that this will enhance service delivery. However, public reaction has been largely critical, with many Kenyans being of the view that the MCA's demands are unrealistic.
KRA hawatakikani kutukata sisi kama MCAs. You can imagine KRA out of 2 million, you get 1.3 million. Which car are you going to purchase with 1.3 million?
Your grassroots experience, it's something that this republic needs to honor and to appreciate, because from where I see it, the future of devolution, the future of this country lies in an empowered MCA.
Despite the dramatic events at KICC, the County Assembly Forum has reaffirmed its commitment into defending devolution and advocating for fair budget allocations. The MCAs are now calling on the Senate and the head of state to intervene.
Order members, order members, order members.
And address their grievances.
And Juja Member of Parliament George Koimburi has been released on a cash bail of 200,000 Kenya shillings after appearing before a Kiambu court where he was charged with forging academic paperwork. Koimburi, who was arrested on Tuesday, faced 6 counts of forging his academic credentials, an additional charge of failing to appear in court on multiple occasions. And as Ben Kiroi tells us in the following report, speculation that his arrest was linked to his recent remarks on Sunday, where he alleged that the government spent billions on Raila Odinga's African Union Commission bid in Addis Ababa, was not part of the charge sheet presented in court.
After spending the night in police custody, Juja Member of Parliament George Koimburi was arraigned at the Kiambu Law Courts to face multiple charges, including forging academic certificates dating back to 1994. The legislator was charged with 6 counts of forging academic documents and an additional count of failing to appear in court on different occasions in July 2021. According to the charge sheet, in the first count, Koimburi is accused of forging a Kenya National Examination Council NEC certificate between November and December 1994 to obtain a Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education KCSE. The second count alleges that he forged a certificate of participation in the East African University's Accession Project from Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology JKUAT between September 2021 and April 2012. Similarly, the third count claims that during the same period, Koimburi obtained a fraudulent certificate from JKUAT's School of Human Resource Development. In the fourth count, Koimburi is accused of knowingly and fraudulently forging a KCSE certificate from NEC, which he allegedly presented at the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission EACC on March 8, 2021. On that same date, the Member of Parliament also submitted his certificate of participation in the East African Universities Accession Project from JKUAT to EACC, forming the basis of the 5th count. The 6th count alleges that he presented his School of Human Resource Development certificate from JKUAT to EACC on the same day.
Our client attended court. And that's why
that is evidence. We're not touching on the evidence. It doesn't matter. That is evidence. We are not touching on evidence.
The 7th charge sparked a heated courtroom exchange between lawyers from both sides, with Koimburi's defense team arguing that the count was maliciously added by the Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP, to frustrate their client's bid for bail.
I have not spoken.
I have not spoken either.
You will be granted an opportunity.
I have not commented.
Your Honor, the accused person has pleaded to the 6 counts. And he has raised a legal objections to the legal propriety of count 7. There is glaring lack of the fundamental principle of actus reus in this charge.
This is where it becomes sweeter. He's being charged, or he's proposed to be charged, with failing to attend court on 29 July 2021.
Your Honor, I think counsel is going to...
Just allow me.
It is perfect.
Just allow me.
Your Honor.
Just allow me to make my submissions.
Despite the legal tussle, the court granted Koimburi release on a cash bail of Kenya shillings 200,000. The remarks by Juja legislator on Sunday seemed to have opened Pandora's box, putting the legislator in hot soup. Charges of forging academic papers dating back to 1994 brought against him. The court will on Thursday rule on the issue of whether he will answer to all the charges or not. Ben Kirui, Citizen TV, Kiambu.
And Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka, his Democratic Action Party of Kenya counterpart Eugene Wamalwa, held discussions on possible political formation. The three held closed-door meeting for several hours at a hotel in Karen, Nairobi, where they reportedly agreed to work together ahead of the 2027 elections. The trio also resolved to wooing the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, whom they are courting to join their side and bolster their chances as he eases back into local politics. Sources have told Citizen TV that a meeting between Kalonzo and Odinga is in the offing. On the reconstitution of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission IEBC, the three resolved to closely monitor the recruitment of commissioners and, once constituted, fill joint candidates in the forthcoming by-elections. Residents of Koisagat village in Kericho County today staged demonstrations after the severed head of a middle-aged man was found in a sufuria in one of the houses. The torso was later discovered in a thicket 2 kilometers away, with locals accusing a local businessman of orchestrating the murder. Lore Otieno reports that the locals accused the police of colluding with the suspect, who has been responsible for the wave of insecurity in the area.
Activities at Koisagat Market in Kericho County were suspended for the better part of Wednesday morning as residents held prayers following a bizarre incident. The head of a middle-aged man was found in a cooking pot in one of the residential units and his torso discovered in a bush 2 kilometers from the house.
Saa 11 mtoto akatoka akaenda kuitoa sufuria ya chai, kutengeneza chai. Sasa akapata hiyo mwili ameweka sufuria ya ugali. Alikuwa anaweka kichwa ile imekatwa kwa sufuria ndani. Sasa tukaona, tukapiga nduru saa hiyo.
Huyu mwenzetu ashalala, ashauawa na ashakufa. Mwingine pale hapo Kericho Referral Hospital anaugua. Mikono zote zimekatika. Kama mwana kwa picha mikono zimekatika. Na ni jana the same day hiyo tukio ikafanyika.
The residents accused the security officers of negligence and collusion with the local businessman who is said to be behind the murder.
Mtu anashikwa leo anafika sijui hata wanawatu hapa chinichila. Afiki hata fotano. Unaona amefika anasema mtanifanyia nini? Sasa kama mtu anasema mtanifanyia nini? Sijui atamaliza kila mtu.
Wewe jamaa tutamulika kutoka juu chini hata kwa maji. Mpaka tupate. Within the next 2 to 3 weeks, tuko na huyo jamaa.
The body has been moved to the Kericho County morgue. Laura Otieno, Citizen TV.
A body of another middle-aged fisherman has this afternoon been discovered and retrieved from the Lake Nakuru National Park just over a month after the 31-year-old Brian Odhiambo went missing, allegedly at the hands of the Kenya wildlife officials from the same park. The body was found floating on the lake's waters with fishing gear on it, and it's said to have visible injuries on the face and has been positively identified by fellow fishermen. The latest incident raises questions of just how stray fishermen are handled by those tasked with guarding them. They land the lake's waters with the family of Brian that was present during the retrieval exercise and later at the Lake Nakuru Annex Hospital Funeral Home, with the hope of identifying the body, as that of Brian now left with more questions than answers of what befell their kin.
Vile nilipata hiyo ripoti, nikapanda piki nikienda Mwariki B nikiwa na matarajio anaweza kuwa mtoto wangu. Lakini nimefika hapa nimepata sio wangu. Bado nimebaki tu na huzuni yangu.
Hata nikiambia watu niliwaambia kuna mwili umepatikana na tuna suspect ni Abrayo. Haki tu tunaomba tu tupeni tu Brayo kindly, tupeni tu Brian.
Status ya huyo mwenye ameletwa hapa ni kama mtu pia ni very fresh. Inaonekana ako na fishing gears kwa mwili. Lakini sasa nimeona pia anatokwa damu, ni kama mtu amepigwa.
And the Ministry of Health is tonight seeking the help of Parliament to plug the 59 billion funding shortfall that has been exacerbated by the US aid funding freeze. The ministry says it has requested 426.8 billion in the 2025-26 financial year budget estimates, but only got 172.6 billion in the just released budget policy statement. Emily Chabet reports on the crisis in the health sector that is likely to affect service delivery across medical centers in the country.
In what sounded like a chorus, the Ministry of Health and its semi-autonomous government agencies kept making requests before the National Assembly Committee on Health. The requests coming as the agencies lamented over limited allocation of resources in the 2025-2026 budget policy statement.
The State Department has 42 projects to be implemented in the financial year 2025-2026. The total allocation to the capital projects or programs is Kenya shillings 27.4 billion, comprising of Kenya shillings 13.3 billion under the GOK and Kenya shillings 14.1 billion under the donor-funded support.
The Health Committee taking to task the ministry and its agencies of unjustified budgets. Some were, however, quick to clear the air.
The account had received a total of 3.7 billion from the ministry, and we have disbursed 1.3 billion. From the returns we have received, we expect to disburse an additional 1.6 to 1.7 billion from that account to cover the facilities who offered primary health care within that quarter and had not been paid.
The national level.
28 billion gap at once is really huge for the country, especially for life-saving commodities. And therefore, as we prepare and conclude this budget, we need to look at those critical areas, especially supporting counties to roll in some of the programs in an integrated manner, and also not losing the current gains.
AMPATH, as our main provider of HIV care in the western part of Kenya, covering about 7 counties, specifically on just HIV, TB, malaria and other chronic diseases. So this actually will be one of the biggest areas which will be impacted by the USAID budget cut.
The Ministry of Health is asking for additional funding for what they call unfunded priorities in 2025-2026 financial year. They need 59 billion, of which 30 billion is meant for fully public financed primary healthcare system, 5 billion for procurement of strategic commodities like HIV, family planning and vaccines. Another 3 billion is needed to purchase essential commodities like blood bags, equipment to separate the different blood groups and cells, among others. The USAID freeze has created a 20 billion deficit. They also need an additional 1 billion to cover several presidential directives to fund health facilities across the country. The Kenya Medical Research Institute has decried a promise of 400 million that was later scrapped from the budget, saying it is time that the country financed its research programs.
Our center in Kisumu, our center in Busia, our center in Kericho and Kombewa are funded more to the US side. JKLIVE is funded to the Wellcome Trust. We are requested for 100 million for transition for this 800 staff as a PE. This is still our prayer, that this is included so that we can be able to slowly start winning ourselves out from these dollar funds. And again,
KEMRI was simply just having the center belonging to them. The rest of the research that was going on in that particular center, including the employees of KEMRI, they were not even allowed to use some of the facilities therein. So what we are saying here is let's empower KEMRI. Let's give KEMRI that facilitation by providing additional funding.
A long-day meeting at the National Assembly that brought together CEOs from different health agencies highlighting the underfunding in the health sector. And now the leaders are calling on the government to consider 15% of the national budget goes to healthcare, insisting that a healthy nation starts with investing in the sector. Emily Chebet, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Mwangaza and Mwazunguka villages in Mombasa's Portrees estate risk being rendered homeless after they were served eviction orders by the Kenya Petroleum Refinery. Houses, schools and places of worship and cemeteries have been marked for demolition. And as Francis Mtalaki tells us in the following report, locals now want the government's intervention and allocate them an alternative land to settle.
An X-mark is what welcomes you at Mwangaza and Mwazunguka villages, Portrees area, Changamwe constituency, Mombasa County. Residents claim Kenya Petroleum Refinery Limited issued an eviction notice and marked hundreds of houses sitting on the contested 20-acre piece of land, sparking fear and anxiety among residents who claim they have lived here.
Miaka yote hiyo kutoka 62 uhuru wapatikana, mimi niko hapa. Mzungu tulimwambia hapa si kwao, akaenda zake. Leo hii anayomwita mwenzake squatter ni nani? Mkenya mwenzangu waniita squatter. Mahali nilipozika mamangu, babangu. Haya, sasa kwangu mimi ni wapi?
Wameleta order kwa eneo ambayo sio yao. Na kama kuna mtu anataka ama bwenyenye iko ndani ya petroleum na anataka hii plot, ajitokeze aongee na sisi kiasi ya kwamba tujue tutaenda wapi.
Schools, churches and a nearby cemetery are also marked for demolition should Kenya Petroleum Refinery effect the order. Affected residents wonder why warehouses and apartments next to the pipeline have been spared.
Wanadai kwamba pipe ikipasuka mafuta itaruka, lakini nyumba zile za gorofa mafuta haiendi, inakuja kwa Mzee Hasani. Hiyo ni haki kweli? Na viongozi wanajua, sio kwamba ati hawajui. Kila siku kutoka mwaka wa 90 mpaka leo viongozi hawajui kama mimi nasumbuliwa. Je, haya mafuta yakipasuka mtaniambia isiende kwa gorofa ije kwangu?
Kwa hivyo hatutaki kuona matingatinga analetwa hapa. We will serve the OCS, tutaserve wale wote wahusika ili kuhakikisha ya kwamba wakazi wa hapa wanapewa peaceful mind.
Francis Mtalaki, Citizen TV.
Angry locals on Wednesday stormed Kerugoya police station to demand an end to the perennial cases of insecurity in the area located in the county of Kirinyaga. Led by Kirinyaga Central MP Gashoki Gitari, the locals pointed an accusing finger at the police in the area for what they termed as laxity in dealing with insecurity in the area. The residents also demanded reasons why notorious crime suspects are often released in unclear circumstances once arrested. Kirinyaga County Commander Andrew Naibei has called for closure of all activities by 11 p.m. to enable the authorities tackle crime that has appealed to the general public to refrain from taking the law into their own hands and allow for proper investigations into the cases.
A 13-year-old, a grade 7, was murdered at Kevingo area by somebody who is known, who is still at ranch. And it is over a month. And we always hear, serikali ni mrefu. Kwani imekuwa fupi hapa Kirinyaga Central.
Ile shida inatukura hapa Kerugoya sana
ni bangi imeenea sana, inauzwa kama mandizi, kama sigara, kama kitu yote imeruhusiwa kuuzwa. Tunaomba mheshimiwa wetu huyo mtu tuondolewe huku Kiluguru kabisa.
Ile siku kulikuwa na wakola, nilitambua mwizi mmoja ambaye aliniimbia kwa duka langu, na tangu hiyo siku sijaona matokeo ya venye tutasaidiwa kutoka kwa police station. Ningeomba sana mheshimiwa utusaidie, sababu tuko na shinda. Au wakola hatujui, wengine nilisikia waliotoroka, hatujui wamejificha wapi.
Jen Ndirangu has pocketed $500,000 shillings in the Players of Love competition by Shabiki.com. The competition on Shabiki.com's Aviator game runs until the end of this month, giving fans a golden chance to win big. Here's Steve Shitera with that report.
A week after Brian Visiahwa took to the skies in a helicopter ride as a Valentine's gift from Shabiki.com,
Yay!
Jen Ndirangu is raising the stakes in the Players of Love challenge on Shabiki.com's Aviator, turning a mere 50 shillings stake into a 500,000 shillings win.
Hii mchezo niliona watu wameanza kushinda kwa TV, ndio nikakuwa interested sana kuanza kucheza. Nikaona wako na weekly kuna mtu anaweza win 500, nikajaribu na ndio nikapigiwa simu siku ya Jumatatu. Nikaambiwa mimi ni mshindi wa 500,000. Nilifurahia sana hadi nilishindwa kufanya kazi.
Jen from Naromoro says her new windfall will boost her business plan and help her achieve her 2025 goals.
Hii pesa kwanza nimepanga kuanza biashara yangu. Niache kuwa mwajiriwa sasa, nianze business yangu. Sitakuwa nategemea pesa ya mshahara, sasa mimi najifanyia kazi yangu.
She says she has unlocked the secret to winning on Shabiki.com's Aviator and she is here to stay.
Na make sure kwa siku nimecheza mara kadhaa.
To play the many games on offer, visit www.shabiki.com and jump into the Players of Love frenzy.
Mimi ni rubani, nimewin na Shabiki. Yay!
Steve Shiteng with us. Time for business, and the government has signed 20 contracts worth 11.6 billion Kenya shillings to expand electricity access in underserved areas. The deal will establish solar mini-grids and standalone systems powering schools, healthcare centers across the country. Here's Jasmine Wamboi with that report.
In line with the government's ambition of lighting up the entire country, 20 new contracts have today been inked in the presence of President William Ruto. The contracts worth over 10 billion shillings were signed between private contractors, Kenya Power and the Rural Electrification and Renewable Energy Corporation, REREC.
Today, we signed contracts worth 11.6 billion to extend electricity to communities that have remained on the fringes of development for far too long.
This initiative will see the construction of 113 solar-powered mini-grids across 12 counties. This include Turkana, Marsabit, Samburu, Isiolo, Mandera, Wajir, Garissa, Tana River, Lamu, Kilifi, Kwale and Narok.
It sends a clear message that no Kenyan, regardless of location or background, will be left behind in our nation's march to progress. Our mission is to extend modern, reliable, and affordable electricity to every home, school, and business, from the most remote villages to the busiest urban centers.
The project, the government says, will also see standalone solar systems installed in public schools, health centers, and administrative offices.
We expect construction to begin in the next 3 months, because immediately we are doing what we call site handover, and then immediately after, construction will be able to begin, and we anticipate construction to end by June 2026. That is for the mini-grids and the standalone solar systems.
However, a section of Kenyans have raised concerns over the dependability of solar as a source of reliable power.
When we have low solar solar output. Those mini grids are going to come with small generators that can be able to generate some little bit of power and ensure that the batteries are always up to optimum level.
The completion of this project, the government says, is expected to have a far-reaching social and economic impact for these regions.
We have seen schools that start and grow and improve even in terms of performance when you bring electricity to them. Hospitals, there are some drugs that you cannot have in hospitals unless you keep them in fridges. So women are coming together, they have portion meals, we have the young people opening small businesses like welding.
This project is financed by the World Bank under the Kenya Off-Grid Solar Access Project for underserved counties. Communities in arid and semi-arid areas here in the country have for decades been left out of power connections. The president now says their time is here. Jasmine Wambui, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
A bill by Kakamega County Senator Bone Khalwale to regulate motorcycle transport subsector has sparked mixed reactions across the country, with border operators and stakeholders raising concerns over its potential economic and enforcement challenges. The senator defends the proposals, arguing they aim to improve road safety and streamline the industry. Sector players, however, say it will negatively impact the small-scale riders. Jimmy Mbogo with this report after he spoke to border operators.
For years, the border business has provided an income for millions of Kenyans, with an estimated 2.5 million Kenyans working in the sector. However, a raft of proposals seeking to regulate the sector has players questioning the motive and the timing of the bill. Among them is the proposal to impose a 20,000 shillings fine or 6 months in jail for operators caught riding on pavements and pedestrian walkways.
Lakini ikifika ni upande wa kupita pavement, isikuwe mnajua kuweka sheria na hamjui kutengeneza barabara. Kwanza tengeneza barabara, kukuwe na easy movement, ndio mwanze kuweka hizo sheria.
Kuna watu tu na si wote ndazosema wameamua kwamba bodaboda ni hoteli yao. Akiona pikipiki namna hivi kwa jamu anakimbia na mkamata. So ule mtu next time ata take chances. Hata akipata wrong side atatoka aende, sababu anajua hata nikisimama na nimecomply na niko sawa, nisipite kwa hiyo pavement, huyu askari akinishika au kanjua akinishika ataenda kunikulia mbele.
Kama ni 20,000 waseme tu hataki bodaboda, atupe kazi nyingine ya kufanya. Tuondokee mambo ya bodaboda.
It cannot go on like this just because of emotions and sentimental value of telling people that you can just ride anywhere you want, whether you go on the left. No. Responsible leadership says, stick within the law.
Other proposals include the requirement for commercial motorcycle operators to register with the county authorities and pay a prescribed fee. Bodabodas must also be fitted with a real-time tracking device, while riders found guilty of ganging up to intimidate or harm others face a fine of up to 100,000 shillings or 1 year in jail. The riders have also raised concerns over the requirement to not carry a passenger with their load if it exceeds 50 kilograms in weight.
The most important thing is to bring sanity. Boda is chaotic. So we must bring sanity. We are not a country of schizophrenics. We are not a lawless county. It must bring order.
We also talk about safety and sanity. We don't want such kind of goons behaviors. But let's be reasonable. How will you determine that this person was at the scene?
Unajua bodaboda ni kama mtoto yatima. Bodaboda ukiangalia off late wamekuwa wakigongwa, anaachwa kwa barabara, alafu huyo mtu wa gari anaenda hivyo, inabakia kwamba bodaboda anaenda ajitibu mwenyewe. Another thing ni kwamba unapata bodaboda kigongwa, juu mtu wa gari akona pesa anamgeusia, inakuwa kwamba yeye ndiye ako na makosa. So ilifika mahali bodaboda wakatafutia umoja wao kwamba ugonga mtu wa bodaboda lazima tukuje tukusikize, tuelewe shida iko wapi.
Mmesema tusibebe zaidi ya kilo 50. Mwenye alitengeneza hii pikipiki sio mjinga. Msikuwe werefu kuliko wale wenye walitengeneza. This is our working place. Mkianza kutuletea sheria, mkuwe tayari pia kutuambia makwenu tukuje tuchukue pesa jioni, tunaenda kulisha familia zetu.
And although the boda riders welcome some element of this bill, their biggest concern is that it's going to be used as a tool by the law enforcers to harass them on the roads.
Jimmy Mbogo, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Kenya's tourism industry has reported significant growth in the year 2024, with international tourism earnings rising by nearly 20%. Total tourist numbers reached over 7.5 million, with domestic visitors accounting for more than 5.1 million. The government is targeting 3 million international arrivals this year in 2025. Here's Francis Mtalaki.
Seriously?
Despite economic challenges and the Gen Z-led demonstrations that rocked Nairobi and other major cities, Kenya's tourism sector demonstrated resilience, surpassing the 7.5 million visitor mark. Domestic tourism played a major role, with 5,173,966 Kenyans exploring destinations across the country, excluding those staying in unlicensed accommodation such as Airbnb. International tourist arrivals rose by 14.6% to reach 2.4 million, driving total tourism earnings up to 452.2 billion shillings, a 19.79% increase.
This is a clear indication that our efforts, especially in diversifying products offering and expanding source markets, are bearing fruit.
Speaking in Mombasa, CS Miano noted that bed nights increased from 8.6 million to 10 million.
I'm from California. I'm so excited to be in Kenya. Such a beautiful country already.
United States remains Kenya's largest international source market, accounting for 12.8% of arrivals, followed by Uganda at 9.42%, Tanzania 8.49%, and other markets include the United Kingdom, India, Italy, Germany and China.
The introduction of new experiences such as cultural tourism, sports tourism, and adventure tourism has continued to attract a wider range of travelers, resulting, thankfully, in stamping Kenya's reputation as a sustainable tourism destination.
As the industry looks ahead to 2025, stakeholders are targeting 3 million international arrivals, which are expected to generate over 560 billion shillings in revenue.
So we are on the island. So we have to use the ferry here no matter how.
The government plans to intensify its marketing efforts, positioning Kenya as a preferred destination within East Africa, the Middle East and Asia. Francis Mtalaki, Citizen TV, Mombasa.
Kakamega Homeboys' fine run in the FKF Premier League continued on Wednesday afternoon after an emphatic 3-1 win over Moranga Seals at the Mumias Sports Complex. Kakamega was one of the two winners of the day, the other being KCB, who won 1-0 against Bandari. At the Machakos Stadium, troubled Posta Rangers were held to a 1-1 draw by the visiting Mara Sugar. Posta Rangers had the perfect start when they took a 22nd minute lead via Faustin Ojiambo for a 1-0 lead. 3 minutes before the break, former Gor Mahia striker Christopher Raila drew Mara Sugar level. No goals were scored in the second half as the match ended 1-1. Posta Rangers remained 14th on the log, while Mara Sugar maintained their 11th position in the standings. At the Magical Kenya Open teen of Wednesday morning with the Curtain Raiser Pro-Am event at the Muthaiga Golf Club in Nairobi. The Pro-Am paired professional golfers with local amateurists at a friendly contest. And as Megan Jerry now tells us in the following report, the event traditionally allows the amateurs to experience competitive play alongside seasoned professionals.
This year's tournament will see 13 Kenya professionals and 6 amateurs represent the host nation. The pros include Greg Snow, Njoroge Kibugu and David Wahu, all aiming to leverage their home course advantage.
Looked at the golf course, haven't seen it for about 2 weeks, as I was in Rwanda last week. But yeah, the golf course is playing quite nice. Greens are a bit firm this year, and it's a bit windy out there.
All eyes will be on the local pros after the numbers were increased from 8 to 13. Snow believes this is a good opportunity to showcase what they are made of.
No, I mean, just got to go out there and play my game this week. Obviously give myself enough chances to make birdies, shoot some good scores for over the 4 rounds, finish high, get a top 10.
Top Kenyan professional Njoroge Kibugu will be making his 3rd appearance in the tournament at only 21 years. The Pro-Am event gave him an opportunity to practice ahead of Thursday's round 1.
Just came out from the golf course, and yeah, it was a pretty good outing here in the Pro-Am. Game feels good, just getting a feel of the course, and all around, pretty confident.
In his first appearance at the Magical Kenya Open 2 years ago as a junior golfer, he surprised many by making the cut. All eyes are on him after qualifying as the top Kenyan professional.
No challenges, according to players. It's just me versus the course, as usual, trying to keep to that perspective, and hopefully it works out.
For the amateur golfers, playing alongside the pros prepared them for what to expect when the real competition starts. Michael Karanga qualified for the Magical Kenya Open as the best amateur golf of the year. Karanga finished 8th at the All-African Amateur Golf Championship in South Africa earlier in February. A week ago, he won the Rwanda Open tournament in Kigali.
Here I am to play Magical Kenya Open. It's a good experience, and I've learned a lot playing with the best golfers in the world, across the world, and I'm ready for Kenya Open.
As the tournament tee off on Thursday, the golfers will be motivated by the hole-in-one prize, a brand new car donated by Sifao for the first golfer to hit the hole-in-one. The 2025 Magical Kenya Open is set to take place from tomorrow, 20th February, all the way to 23rd at the prestigious Muthaiga Golf Club right here in Nairobi. The 56th edition of the tournament continues its legacy as part of DP World Tour, attracting top-tier talents from around the globe. Reporting for Citizen TV, I'm Jerry Meg.
The national under-17 women's football team, the Junior Starlets, are in their 2nd week of residential camp as they prepare to take on Uganda in the under-17 World Cup qualifiers. Kenya got a bye in the round 1 and will face Uganda home and away in round 2 in March. Coach Mildred Cheche has kept faith in the majority of the players. They did their duty for Kenya, according to her, at last under the under-17 World Cup in 2024. Together with the Kenya Academy of the Sports, the FKF selected 2 teams that played in the CAF Confederation Football Cup Girls Integrated Tournament gift in Tanzania in January. The 2 teams have produced 90% of the players that are in the camp. The team will also play a couple of friendly matches to gauge their strength before the 2 matches against Uganda. The National Super League clubs, together with the Football Kenya Federation, have agreed to work on new strategies that will make the second-tier league more lucrative and attractive to sponsors. The league has been struggling with challenges, key among them being logistics for matches, prize money and poor officiation. The clubs met with the FKF President Hussein Mohamed and came up with resolutions to be implemented soon.
Day in, day out. But that's why we are here. As the new administration, we've highlighted a few areas of improvement, and I just want to give the assurance to the general public that you are going to enjoy the games even more once we adapt some of the resolutions.
Among them being brand visibility for the NSL brand, where we have all agreed to work together. In as much as this is a competition, we have agreed to work together in ensuring the visibility for this brand.
The Bohongo Stadium in Kakamega County, currently under construction, will be ready ahead of the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations to be hosted by Kenya, Tanzania and Uganda. Sport Cabinet Secretary Salim Mvurya gave the assurance on Wednesday after touring the facility. Mvurya said that the government is committed to ensuring the facility meets the required international standards ahead of the Continental Showpiece. The Talanta Sports Stadium, together with Kasarani Stadium in Nairobi, are earmarked to host the AFCON matches, while the rest of stadiums in the country will be used for training and friendly matches. CS Mvurya was accompanied by Kakamega County Governor Fernandes Barasa on the stadium tour.
Our
visit today was basically also to appreciate the work and also to make sure that we inspire our technical teams to work together and do periodic reviews beginning today until, you know, the deadline is properly reached.
The directive of the President to deliver Buhungu by June 2026 is still on course. The contractor has done some good work, and what we have witnessed today through the inspection, jointly by the team from the national government and the county government, we are happy with the progress.